You know, Chattanooga has got some decisions to make in the next several years. We have places that are forested. Granted, this is Ireland, and yes, the sheep run mad. And the wind blows hard, so you don't have a lot of trees in Ireland. But we have places in our community that still look very similar to this. The evidence of man is very light. We have areas that are historic and that have been set aside. And we also have a booming population. People don't think about a booming population here because it hasn't happened in my lifetime. But it is already booming, and it's going to continue. It's going to continue because of EPD, not Volkswagen. Volkswagen is the second reason why. EPD is going to be the driver of population and development in our community. And so you need to put on your safety belt and figure out how we're going to have between 60,000 more people in 10 years and 250,000 more. If we wait to have the discussion about what we want to preserve and set aside until we know we have to have the discussion, until it is confronted us in some violent way, it's too late. That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you all about and talk with you all about, is do you believe that it's coming? I've seen some head nods. And if you do, what ought we do about it? And what ought we be thinking about now to be ready for then? So that then is not literally a train wreck.
Chattanooga was the dirtiest city in America. We reacted to that. The city, the planners, the people came together and started doing something about it. You used to never go down on the waterfront. I mean, that was just a place, I mean, it was warehouses, it was just kind of forbidden. Look at it today, because the people in the city put together a plan and followed it and made things happen. You know, if you're going to wait for things to happen, you're a train wreck. You know, we've got people moving back into the city. We've got residences coming up in places where they had never been before or were shacks, you know, because there's a plan. And the one thing that Chattanooga has done extremely well is put together a plan and stick to it.
That vision that you said now we got to revisit actually set in motion the creation of that. People now move where they want to live and find work instead of go where the work is. And an example of that is that Volkswagen came here to build a factory to make work because they wanted to have people live in a place like this. And it was a hard competition to fight for. The quality and the investment in the aquarium, this museum, the hike and bike trails, electric shuttles downtown, those were monies that brought you a $2 billion factory and a couple thousand employees with another 9,000 rollover from that. That's what led to it. It was kind of like, sometimes it seems counterintuitive to invest in the things that seem lighter or the filler. They're not. They're the substance of life. And they cause people to be happy where they live and healthier.
But the reason it was dirty was because it was heavy manufacturing. But it was a great place to earn a living if you had, you know, if you worked with your hands. And that's not true anymore. It's tough for somebody coming out of school without, who wants to do physical labor to find a job here.
To the little, remember we was going to have the train come through Chattown? Remember what happened? It shut all the way down. I haven't heard nothing else about it. The speed train. Yeah. And that, I mean, it just shut up. In Germany, we could go anywhere. A bus, they had tourist bus. It was fun. You park your car and go for hours. It was fun all day long. They had things set in motion so we can be comfortable enough to travel around. Since I've been in Chattanooga, I can't wait to leave. It's just too hard to live here with 2 children and a husband, and you're making just enough to make it past the little red door that your lights don't get cut off. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you got to take the people on the panel and talk to them. It's not gonna work, just us talking.
But I don't think that we realize that the future is now, and it's coming quicker than any of us anticipate. And we have to hold on to the quality of life. Like the arts programs are so important to fulfill our lives. But we also need to do something about the financial base of the city in order to have enough schools and programs to continue this as a viable place. And the other part of my concern is that we're getting more towards the gentrification of Chattanooga, the inner city, as has occurred last time I was in Austin a year ago, and I was shocked that 40-story buildings were being built downtown, and people consider that this will never happen in Chattanooga, but that's what they said in 1990 when I went to Austin for the first time.
Poverty rate is well above the national rate. I don't think we've taken a serious look at why we have, or is it 29% poverty rate in Chattanooga? And a good portion of those are women and children, so I think that's a significant issue.
It is a significant issue. The district that I represent is among the poorest in the city, if not the poorest. And to create opportunities for people who don't have them is something that has to be planned. We want to teach folks how to fish and make sure they have a pond to fish in, rather than spend our resources getting them to tomorrow necessarily. We want to make sure they get to tomorrow, but we don't want to spend all of our resources doing that. So that's important. How do you change both the culture that you're talking about that makes parts of our city unsafe, and I'll represent some of those parts.
What I see is as much a deficit of leadership right now in the city and county mayor's offices. The visioning plan that we did in the 80s for Vision 2000 was funded by Lyndhurst, the foundation, and organized. We had these focus groups all over town, groups this size that sat around and wrote about things from heritage trees to ball fields and parks. And we sort of condensed that and developed a plan. But that was foundation driven with some empathetic mayors who were tuned in. We don't have a plan going forward now. We came back in 2000 and we tried to look at the 2020 plan, but I haven't seen the sort of commitment. And the thing I notice about covering politics is that cities are organic. They thrive or fail on the power of their leaders, on the force and the vision. And we've got a ton of things that could be done. We're in a great position, and we've got a county commission that fights with the city and a city mayor who got to be mayor and doesn't know what else to do with it. I mean, and I've written that. I'm not saying that just to tear down Ron, but I think it's a matter of vision and ideas and willingness to share that power and embrace it and nurture it. And we don't have it. And we are now shopping a growth plan that looks at lifestyle and amenities from pedestrian ways and parks and walkways to road corridors for the adjacent counties that will be having people coming here to work and to buy houses and shop. And all this growth is going to occur. And we'll have a lot of jobs. But we need a good education system. We've got a county commission that's forcing out the superintendent now twice. The last one in 2006, Jesse Register, has just been given a contract extension. It's just in the paper today. In Nashville, he's doing a great job in Metro Nashville, and we ran him off. You know, and now we're running off scales to put in a guy who doesn't have any more vision than the most conservative guy on the county commission, Brett Skiller. So, you know, until we have leadership changes, and we've got to coalesce as a community and drive that. You know, you really have to care about who's running for office and organize the vote. We can have a lot of plans and a lot of opportunity, but we're sitting on idle right now. And there's one thing about organic structures is they either go forward or they fall backward. You can't just sit on idle because people will pass you. and other towns.